Today I will speak about Stape, Stape template for Klaviyo and explain how to implement Klaviyo tag on server-side GTM. My name is Denis. I am CEO and founder of Stape, and usually I'm responsible for all technical side of the product. Also, I'm writing templates by myself, so usually I talk only about technical stuff. And today's presentation also will be more technical. In today's session, I will cover the following: why use Klaviyo server-side tracking, how to use Stape Klaviyo template, benefits for you and your customers, and I'll also show you a real-world case study from one of our partners. So I will start with why you should use server-side instead web tracking for Klaviyo. There are a few reasons, but the main benefits, you can choose what exactly will be collected by Klaviyo. So this is pretty useful for you companies, banks, and other who want to have extra control of the data. So as you know, if you use JavaScript on the side, the JavaScript can gather anything about your customers. If you track on server side, it allows you to choose what data will be sent to a vendor. And from our experience, it's very popular reason to switch to server side, especially for Klaviyo. Another thing is allow you to use server APIs that are not available for the web tag, but available on the server side. For example, add user to the list or remove user from the list. It can be done only through server-side Klaviyo API. And also, if you use server-side tracking, you can use webhooks from CRM or CMS system and send events from the CRM and CMS systems to Klaviyo. So imagine if you sell something not like on Shopify, but through phone calls, you still can use SGTM for tracking events in Klaviyo. And we see that more and more brands use server-side GTM as main tool for gathering all events from different sources, not only websites, but also from CRM systems, payments systems, and some even use already for mobile apps. And of course, like usually a lot of people think it's server-side is about ad blockers and ITP, but again, if you use webhooks for CRMS and CRMs, it's already covered. And yeah, implementing server-side tracking does not just allow Klaviyo tracking, it comes with several other benefits. So if you still not use server-side GTM and need more arguments for your boss, why you need to one more paid tool, why you need to pay for hosting for SGTM and spend time of configuring it, there is few additional points that you can use for go for this project. So you will be able to prolong cookie lifetime that will allow you to have better clear data inside your analytics. Also, SGTM allow you to control what first-party data will be exactly sent to the vendors. Like I talked before, it's very important for some customers, and I think it should be important for everybody because control it's cool to have because you never know what exactly send it with calls to vendors if they have JavaScript on your side. And lastly, server-side tracking allows you to enrich data with internal and external sources. And I will show you example on how to use Klaviyo for enriching data inside your SGTM. Now more info about Stape Klaviyo tag. At this moment, tag has three main features: tracking activity on the site and identification of users, event tracking, like add to cart, purchase, etc., and add to SMS and email lists. So if you have new customers, you will be able to add this customer to your specific list inside Klaviyo. So first function in Stape Klaviyo template is active on site tracking. Klaviyo creates one profile for each person, but to be able to differentiate these people, you need to somehow identify them. For example, this is used in the flow where you send email in case your user not visited site for 1 month, like abandoned cart. For this, you need to track all page views of each customer, and if customer not visit site, you have a flow that triggers send email, please visit our site. And same for abandoned cart. If somebody put something on the cart but not visited your site for 2 days, you will be able to send email to this person. And that's why you need this functionality. Yeah, and for identifying person, we use emails, and also it can use KX cookie. KX cookie, it's like a parameter that passed in URL when you open email from Klaviyo. So if you send somebody email with a link to your site, this link automatically will have KX parameter in this URL. And if this customer click on the link in email, go to your site, our server-side tag automatically grabs this KX parameter and identify this customer inside Klaviyo. So it's not always required for you to have user email. It's KX parameter also enough. It's basically, it works similar to how web tag work. The second type of tracking inside this tag is track event mode. It commonly used for tracking add to cart and purchase event. Of course, you can use others, but usually people ask only for these two. This will allow you later configure like flows depending on tracked events. Okay, yes. Third thing that we have in tag, it's add to list functionality. Mostly people use it in case of user sign up or user newsletter sign up. So if somebody come to your site and you want to add this user to newsletter, you can use this tag functionality to add user in a newsletter list on Klaviyo site. Also, there is some small features. For example, store email in cookies, useful in case you not always have email in your data layer. So, like I mentioned before, you can use KX parameter and identify customers by it. But also, you can, if customer already logged in and you have email, you can pass it to the server and identify customer by it. Also, this useful if customer do some purchase on your site and you store this email with this purchase event, and then reuse on other visits. A second thing is specify if user agree to subscribe to marketing emails. This basically new functionality. Few customers asked it. Now we have it. So please use. Write all GTM event data to Klaviyo. It's useful if you use data tag for passing events to the server, and you already have in your event data on server-side GTM only needed parameters, and you just don't want to do a lot of configuration inside Klaviyo tag. From our experience, in most cases, this checkbox works better than just choosing parameters what you send. Yeah, and we're always open to feature requests. You can write to me on GitHub. I'm also very active on Measure Slack, LinkedIn, or in person, like on some offline events. I'm always happy to talk about tags and server-side GTM. So, and again, if we do this features completely for free, so if you have ideas in mind and want to add something to Stape tags, please feel free to reach out to me or somebody from the team. We will add this feature definitely to backlog and provide you feedback. And now let's dive deeper into actual. There are two main ways on how to send data to server side. First is using Google Analytics 4, and second one using data tag and data client. Usually, for most clients, we recommend use GA4 for Google Ads and Google Analytics, and data tag for all other tags. Why? Because it separates what you send to Google. It's easier to separate what you send to Google Analytics and to other vendors. And from our experience, usually you need some additional functionality on client side. And data tag has a built-in features, for example, for storing user data, or also between there is functionality to store user data between page use. You can store data in local storage or inside cookies. Also, you can hash data on web before sending it to server. And yeah, so there are a few tricks that help you to set up. Yeah, so first step is add Klaviyo template from GTM template gallery. And now almost all our templates are already in Google Tag Manager gallery, so it's easy for you to install them from there. And also, if you install templates from Google Tag Manager gallery and not from GitHub, you will always have updates of these tags. In the server container, you should create a new tag, select Klaviyo, enter private key that you can get from Klaviyo, and configure your event. On this screenshot, you can see real-world configuration for add to cart event. And I understand that this part of configuring variables that need to be passed for a tag can be challenging. And if you need more information on how to create user variables or how to set up sending data from web to server, you can check out Stape Academy courses or read our blog posts. We have dedicated instructions on how to do this, and that's why I will not focus on this part on how to configure variables. And the last part is to create trigger for the tag. In our case, this is add to cart trigger that fires on data client Yeah, and always ensure your Klaviyo tag is properly triggered in server GTM and verify that the event data was received in Klaviyo. We also recommend to not forget about test bad scenarios. For example, when you do not have an email or user identifier, often you should add exclude trigger to such cases. We see that people not check uh, if, so for example, if user will write some not real email but some I don't know, some symbols and just submit the form. In these cases, the request go to Klaviyo, you get error. Sometimes Klaviyo will pass these emails, and you just use your credits on Klaviyo with no reason. So we recommend you to have always some kind of validation inside HTML or website before sending data to Klaviyo. Uh, it's like from our experience, it's often if events fires, even if email was not correct. So like you put not correct email, click I click register, and in on this event, email passed to server side GTM. So please check such. And yeah, one more thing. We released like a month ago, I think, a new SGTM variable for Klaviyo. You can use it for retrieving information about customer inside Klaviyo. For example, if you want to use name and surname for Facebook tag, and you do not have this information in request inside event data, but you have it inside Klaviyo, then you can use this variable for enriching your event data through transformations. Currently, we see trends that more and more people use different sources of information for enriching their event data inside HGTM, and I think Klaviyo is really good option because usually you need to pay for such databases from where you can get information about customer. Klaviyo provides this for free. So basically, you don't need to pay for Firebase or any other database for enriching. So I really recommend to check this variable. And also, this approach works similarly to other vendors like ActiveCampaign, for example. But from my experience, it's what works like with Klaviyo, it works really smoothly. You know, there are no errors or on from their API. That's very consistent. So yeah, it's a good thing. And now that we have gone over a setup flow and talking about enrichment, let's discuss what actual benefits for you and for your colleagues. So the main answer is you have better data quality inside the Klaviyo. Uh, I remember that this year started all about data quality, and I still think that next year a lot of people will talk about this. And for me, if you have clearer, more cleaner, better data in your Google Analytics, Klaviyo, whatever, you will have better conversion rate and better understanding why some products work or not work. Because if you not track all events properly and miss some of them, you can actually have wrong understanding what's happening. Yeah, and another thing is also you will have faster page load speed. And this part always forgotten when people talk about server-side tracking. Actually, I wrote this Klaviyo template because one of our customers asked us to help him with removing Klaviyo JavaScript from the site because of page speed. Their the team lead of SEO came to marketing team and said that he feels that it's not like a enough profit from Klaviyo, but this Klaviyo script done too much problems for him for optimizing website page speed. And from what we see, often if you move all your tracking to server side, so you will remove Facebook, TikTok, and Klaviyo from JavaScripts, and also affiliates, and track them only on server, the page speed will be improved significantly. And we see that it can lead to better SEO and better user experience. And sometimes this change helps to have better ROI, and mostly because of how user feel your users start to feel your site much lighter and like it more, and that's why your conversion grow. So I always recommend to think about it's not only for marketers, it also for end customers, so you can make their experience better. Yeah, and now it's time for case study. The following case was reported to us by one of our partners, Obsidian Digital, and their client, Scandinavian Biolabs. They wanted to increase their email marketing revenue by tracking more events from users, and they wanted to set up add to cart additional abandoned cart and additional cart miss events. Obsidian implemented server-side tracking via GTM for them, and also configured Klaviyo template. Also, they added bunch of additional server-side events and sent them to Klaviyo, which allowed them to set up a lot of flows that were not in place before, and that's helped to track more people. And you can see increase in numbers are pretty huge. So increased product view tracking by 91% and increased product add to cart events tracked by 84%. You may think these numbers are high, but after you try server-to-server tracking for Klaviyo, you will also wonder how much data you will get, especially for larger sites where there are a lot of JavaScript code that prevent of fast event tracking. So imagine you load some search page with few products, and you usually on these pages loaded a lot of JavaScript, plus you load all marketing JavaScript, Google Analytics, Google Ads, Klaviyo, affiliates, and if person from search page go to the product directly just after 2-3 seconds, it's usually often JavaScript not loaded, and that's why events are missed. Also, of course, because of ad blockers. So, for example, currently we see in our Stape analytics that around 30% people, a little bit less, so let's say 27, 28, have ad blockers. It all, of course, depends on industry, but you also like lose this event. But not forget about consent. So even if person has ad blocker and you can track it using server side, you still need to gather consent and pass it with all events and check if person give consent. So I hope after this presentation you have understanding how and why you should use server-side tracking for Klaviyo, and I hope you will try it on your next project. So thank you for joining, and I'm happy to answer question. And please use this promo code for sharing feedback. Now I'm try to find that and read your questions. I hope there are some of them.
So Dennis, I've got some questions, but
Yeah.
Paul has asked, so for attendees, if you can use the Q&A feature in chat to ask Dennis questions, it's just slightly easier rather than going through the webinar chat. Paul has asked, is email hashed? I think what he means is uh, with like enhanced conversions and stuff, sometimes it's kind of stored in the browser, and it's sort of like with both Facebook and Google both needing an email, and they sometimes hash it in very slightly different ways. So it's, yeah, is, I guess maybe a better question is what's the best way to store email and control it within server side?
Yeah, so for Klaviyo, you need to not hash email because basically Klaviyo use email for sending emails, so they need like email in normal, not hashed way. So answer is you need to pass a real email, and Klaviyo basically work like some kind of CDP. I would say they not call it themselves CDP, but in reality they have user profile with all parameters and have a lot of personal data. So and yeah, you need to pass this personal data to Klaviyo directly. And also want to add, because of this, you can then enrich events inside SGTM, like I showed before. So all the data on Klaviyo is stored in a regular way, and that's why you can get it from there.
Yes, and thinking of things like either product IDs or transaction IDs, or even a product impression, it makes a lot more sense to just send the key and then do this like server-side enrichment. It's like it in effect compresses the client-side kind of load and prevents like a GA4 hit failing because it's gone over the kind of 2000 characters. Um, um, the
Oh.
One other question, Dennis. Let's say a client is operating in, uh, let's say Europe, like a GDPR zone, and they want to stop an IP address being passed to Klaviyo, because obviously if they used a standard JavaScript tracker, or even the community template that's currently in the library, that doesn't do any client-side anonymization because the IP is actually a server-to-server thing. What would be the impact of for compliance of an IP address being captured, um, and can Stape fix that problem?
You can, but basically using server-side tracking or even with Klaviyo, you can modify IP address before sending it to Klaviyo. But from our experience, even with highly restricted niche in Europe, people still pass original email. Why? Because uh, people add Klaviyo as sub-processor to their data processing agreement and to their privacy policy. So they mentioning there they will track user email, name, IP address, and all parameters. So people use Klaviyo only if person give it consent, and usually these sites have in their DPA and privacy policy mentioning Klaviyo. So from my experience, nobody like do anything with IP, but you can.
Okay. Oh, so that's on the condition that there's either a positive opt-in or the users have the ability to opt out. If
Yeah.
it's okay. Uh, the I only mention it because of all this with GA4 in like France, Italy, Austria, and GA4 being illegal because IP addresses are stored, and that kind of risk factor for brands, and because it's hard for a user to change their IP address, unless Chrome introduced anonymized IP, then and hence asking that question. So I think you said in your template there's a tick box for like hide IP address or drop it, because once the lookup from the IP to country or IP to city is done, there's no really a need to store an IP address.
Yes, you are completely right, but I saw that, for example, Klaviyo use IP from different widgets to identify in which cities, in which country can be one customer. It's just an example. How they use it. So you even can have flow, like if customer now not in a native city and just go traveling, you can send additional email. So if you from travel company, so I don't know, do you sell something for travels, you can create such trigger.
Yes, I suppose there's ways around that. If you had a kind of an IP list of, let's say, 200 IPs for countries and then another list for cities, then you could kind of proxy them in that way. There's a question here for also from Paul again. So he's said, someone mentioned at the DDMA, I guess that's Digital Marketing Association in uh, Amsterdam last week, that ad blockers now look at the IP address from server-side environment to match the IP from the client website, so the host IP versus the server IP. If it's different, the first 3 digits or 3 octlets, the IP address will be blocked. How does Stape look to overcome this upcoming WebKit change?
Yeah, it's basically happened, I think in March or in February of this year, so it's pretty old. But yeah, I think now its adoption must bigger because people installed new iOS and new macOS, so it's become a thing. And yeah, Stape has the three solution for this. First, if you use first party mode that recommended by Google. In this case, your HTTM will be served from same IP that website. So you need to use same origin for loading HTTM. Second thing is you can use own CDN feature. So if, for example, you have Cloudflare or you use Nginx server, we have blog posts describing how to set up proxying of your SGTM through the same IP as your website. And third thing, we have power up, call it Cookie Keeper, that allows you to store and restore cookies, even in case you cannot use previous methods. So basically, you are this is completely correct. Cookies will be removed if it not set it from IP address that has a similar start that IP address of your site. But what we can do, we can restore these cookies after 7 days for this customer, and we call this cookie keeper feature. So we have a solution for this problem.
And I mean, and also that's going to help with kind of re-identification and accurately counting like new and returning visitors and etc. Especially when there's those kind of append features are not as useful when the cookie gets deleted or lost because you don't necessarily know who the user is. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's a question here from Simon. You mentioned that Klaviyo, there's no need to send client-side Facebook tag in addition to the Facebook CAPI, even though Facebook encourage sending both because they like to handle the deduping on your side. Can you elaborate on this? So he's talking about hybrid mode.
Yeah, that's super popular questions. It's one of the top. I think it's one in top 10 questions that people ask, and this the same for all platforms, for TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest. They all of them have this hybrid model. And all of vendors recommend use web and server because web still tracks in Chrome third-party cookies. We and the server side cannot track these third-party cookies. That's why all vendors recommend this. But from our experience, you need to test what for you is better and most and provide you more benefits. Like I mentioned, you will have significant better page speed if you remove all JavaScript of tracking JavaScript from your site. So if you like mid-size e-commerce site that have, let's say, 8 JavaScript on your site, like Avin, TikTok, Klaviyo, uh, Google Ads, like imagine like 7 these tracking JavaScripts. If you remove them, your user experience will be much better. Your site will work really fast. Like you feel how much faster it is, and your customer will feel. And SEO also will notice this, and Google bot will scan more pages. So we see some people remove JavaScript, have a little bit worse tracking because third-party cookie will be not gathered. You will have a little bit less quality score inside Facebook of tracking events, but you will have much better SEO and still not bad tracking because you use server side, and these results can be better than if you implement a hybrid for all platforms. So you need to compare if hybrid mode give you enough reasons to use it instead only server-side tracking. It really depends on business and situation. For smaller site, hybrid definitely is better, but for bigger sites, it need to be tested and checked.
Yes, I would add to that that uh, if the site is using, let's say it's an Ajax website where they've got a CMP like Cookiebot OneTrust, and they're using trigger groups, you end up with the Facebook kind of event sometimes firing at a very different time to the GA4 event. So the Facebook ID, the deduping ID is slightly different, so it can't dedupe, so end up over counting as
Yeah,
well. And it also, the secondary problem is how do you control if the GA4 tag is analytics, but then when it gets to server side, it's repurposed for targeting. So there's this question over uh, um, which kind of bucket GA4 then falls in. Do you have to put it into targeting? So yeah, I understand there are complications that causes. I just wanted to put, just picking an example of Klaviyo here, I've just put into chat a Dropbox link. I just quickly had a look at the Klaviyo like JavaScript client-side library, and there's like, I don't know, 20 JavaScript files that it loads. This is like external files that are like bolted on after the initial file executes. Just like, yeah, so obviously that all gets stripped out if it's loading on a server-side container. So both not just file size but JavaScript execution would be kind of improved. So I can understand why an SEO person would want to have that for site speed optimization. And also the secondary thing is JavaScript, like the data layer object, is global scope. So there's not as much control within it for things like user data for email or um, first name, surname, postcode, etc. Whereas if it's server side, there's much more control over which data fields and where they flow. There's another question here. So we've got, can I send a purchase event to Google Ads server side, not offline event via Shopify purchase webhook? If yes, then how do I send cookie values and click IDs?
we try to do this, and it will like in reality currently Google require you to track regular events only through web browser. So it's basically very similar to what they mentioned for Google Analytics. If you use web browser, you need to use GTAG for tracking GA4, and you need to if you need to track Google ads, you need to use GTAG for this. And webhook, we tried, but it not conversion is not tracked correctly if we even do the same call like GTAG do. So that's why for Shopify we use Shopify webhooks, we use offline conversions. And from our experience, offline conversions works pretty great, especially with Microsoft. So think about this. If you, I know it's really hard to set up offline conversions for Google, for Microsoft, even for Facebook. But if you all one time set up for one platform, for another platform, it will be much easier. And maybe like from Google Ads, we see that it's tracked and normal. And for Microsoft, we see really great results. I don't know why, but Microsoft Ads really likes offline tracking.
There's another question here from uh, Aline. What do you consider small, medium-sized website? How many hits? So just ask yeah, definitions of SME and
Uh,
medium-sized.
I would say if your site, like medium size, small, it's less than 10,000 hits per day. So it's, I mean, not pay, let's 10,000 page views. It's small. Medium, I think it's should be at more than medium. It's more than 1 million page views per month. So basically, medium from 1 million to 300, and less than 300 page views. It's small. It's for me. I know it's the definition. It's different from different people, but that's what I consider small, medium.
Okay, and Dennis, I've got oh, there's another question that's come in. So Ricardo's asked. Oh, so I think Ricardo's replying to someone else's question on there. Uh, I've got a more broad question. So I mentioned in my talk about kind of sea changes. So like it be it iOS change for Facebook, or a methodology change, or even a WebKit sort of change. Uh, the do you think that brands need to kind of have, if they're not already using server side, they should be? Is there a risk that they're going to be like missing out, not just conversions, but like is it coming to a point where they have to use it, as in it's like no longer optional?
Yeah. So for example, with affiliates, we are partner for Avin and CJ, official one, and they requires you to use server side tracking if you want to use Avin or CJ. So it's already for like for some people it's already there. Why it like this? Because like I said, currently it's really higher, become higher and higher percentage of people who use some tracking prevention systems, and for affiliate marketers, companies, it's like they will lose business if they will not track conversions properly. And that's why they require server-side tracking. So for these people, it's already happening. And from what we see, even Google said there will be still support third-party cookies. But if you see statistics, less and less people provide consent inside Google for third-party cookies. Now, if you buy new Mac and install their Google Chrome, the first question will be, do you want to enable advanced tracking prevention inside Google Chrome? And we see from our like again from what we see from our customers, this percentage is growing. So people enable uh, inside Google Chrome also tracking prevention. It works completely different to Safari, but we think like again in 1 year it will be much more. People will see how it will look like. It's similar to what that people started to see now. What happened to Safari that was updated like in February, March. They starting to realize and understand that they already not prolonging cookies even if you use server-side tracking, and you need to additional extra step for configuring prolong cookies, and I think it will happen to others who still think that third-party cookie will live for forever, and you don't need to do anything.
Yes, and I think it's all. I think it's also a kind of a dual thing in the sense that both email hash and enhanced conversions and kind of server side, uh, the kind of both are becoming sort of necessary. But in the same way that consent mode modeling is going to uplift, kind of server side in essence is going to increase the actual data. So it can only have like a positive effect. The is there so Denis, I've put a link to a feedback form into chat. So if people have got more maybe technical questions about their own setups, especially if they're like a large enterprise and they're thinking about rolling out GTM like server-side configuration, because I've seen a lot of sites, especially the big sites, where they've got it wrong, and then having to then update inline code, and maybe they've got the host names wrong, or they've not dealt with pattern matching correctly, and it's like if they get that structural piece wrong at the front, it just has these massive knock-on effects like down the line. So I would say that it's definitely worth, they should pick up the phone to you and say, look, we're about to roll this solution out to 10,000 sites. Like, can you see what problems you envisage? Because from your own experience with setting this up from the kind of helicopter view.
Yeah, it will be great. So I will be happy to have such calls. To be honest, it's always interesting to have really fun projects. So sometimes it's like you know how to help people with Google Ads and Facebook, but I always love projects where like Klaviyo involved. That's why I talk about Klaviyo today, or any other like a mail platform or something that not usual.
Yes, or and that's the thing with these newer technologies. It's kind of it you almost it's good to learn from mistakes of others, and yeah, and I think in some instances, like the Klaviyo example, they've not been kind of first mover. They've just kind of, so you've obviously got like got ahead of the curve on that one. So with your sort of template, so that's good. The We'll just do maybe one more question. So Shiva has asked, I have a follow-up question regarding, oh, okay, Google Ads server-side tracking. I've implemented server-side enhanced conversions tracking on one of my clients. However, I've noticed discrepancies in reporting. For example, yesterday, 7 sales through UTM tracking confirmed ads, but only 3 conversions distributed to Google. The issue is ongoing for the past month. Do you recommend using offline conversions to solve this? Yeah, I think um, the GA4 versus Google Ads kind of issue there, and enabling kind of offline conversions. Maybe that one might be worth kind of taking offline and individually investigating or looking. I think one thing for me that I wish Google would do is have better reporting in terms of like the uplift, because Facebook like does have some bit more granular detail. I think that would help with data validation and kind of seeing like before and after.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. To show from which source this event tracked inside Google Ads, it will be great to have such information. And from what I can answer on this question, it's really hard to have like exact same information in both systems. From like in your case, it's a little bit strange, 7 and 3, but 20% difference is usually completely normal between these two systems. You can try offline conversion, but I think I would recommend you to check again your setup, because it's not should be like this. So I'm not sure that offline conversions will help you.
Yeah, I suppose the initial client-side setup, like the basic stuff, needs to be covered first before doing the like more advanced kind of pieces. Okay, thank you again, Dennis, for doing that talk. I'm just going to mention your well, both the oops. So I've put a link to feedback into chat. So if people want to, there's a comment section on the end of feedback if they want to ask questions to you, or they can send connect with you LinkedIn and send you a direct message on that. Just as a reminder for attendees, so Stape have kindly offered a 30% discount using the promo code MM24 SD. So I'll just put that code into chat, and for the questions that we didn't answer, Dennis, I'll just email those through afterwards.
I'll answer them later.
Yeah. Thank you again for some really detailed technical information there, Dennis, and lots of kind of useful kind of technical pieces in there, which will be invaluable for advanced technical marketers.
Thank you for opportunity to speak.